to begin with, will be introduced to you by my colleague, my sister, Professor Deb Willis, who's professor of photography and imaging at NYU here. But she's also university professor of the arts. But many of you will know her as the biggest authority, not only in America, but in the world on Black photography. So Deb Willis is gonna come and introduce the event. After that, I will moderate the conversation between the two giants. And then you are having a semester's education during this artist in residence. And thank you very much for coming. And I want to thank NYU, because I always say, don't forget to thank Jaira. But NYU gives me money. Sometimes I forget to thank them. So I want to thank New York University also for making this event possible. Thank you very much for coming. And my sister, Deb Willis. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I also like to announce that this is live stream, and it's new.livestream.com, accounts 7358155. So those of you who are available to not here and able to listen and to share with others. But I'd like to welcome both Angela Davis and Danny Glover here to NYU, but also give you a background on the Artist and Scholar in Residence program that was initiated by the IAAA in 1996. Our first writer and guest was Walter Mosley. They have the IAAA have since developed it into some of the most respected and well-attended programs at New York University. The audience is particularly attracted to the interdisciplinary nature of this program because we have writers and we have musicians and we have playwrights. We have a discussion about writing. And so it's really exciting to see this kind of broad programming here at NYU. And so we include here some of the other actors and panelists, included Anna Devere Smith, Randy Weston, Amiri Baraka, Jane Cortez, Wole Soyinka, Bill Greaves, David Levrian Lewis, Gleason, who was just fantastic a couple of years ago, Jana Kamfra, of course, Danny Glover, and Angela Davis, who are here tonight. But I'd like to also welcome both of them and just give you a brief bio. The longer bio is in the program here. And so we can also just know and just respect the work of what Mancha and Jaira have done this year and have done over the past. It's just been a great time for all of us to think about activism in the arts. But through Angela Davis's activism and scholarship, we know the deep involvement about social justice through her work. Her work as an educator, both at the university level and at the larger public arena, has always emphasized the importance of building communities of struggle for economic, racial, and gender justice. This spring, Professor Davis is UCLA's Regents Professor and Lecturer, where she teaches a graduate seminar in gender studies. She's taught at UCLA, San Francisco State University, Mills, Stanford, and Berkeley. But most recently, she's been 15 years at University of California, Santa Cruz, where she is now Distinguished Professor Emerita of History and of Consciousness and of Feminist Studies. She's the author of 9 books, and she's lectured worldwide from Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia, and South America. And just in recent times, she has had a persistent theme that has made us think about men and women in terms of the aspect of incarceration and poverty and racial discrimination in our cities. Her recent books include Abolitionist Democracy and Our Prisons Obsolete, and a new introduction to the narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass. It's a critical piece because she's also thinking about and giving us a chance to think about how Frederick Douglass thought about freedom and how he imagines freedom through self-knowledge and achieving freedom through all forms of oppression. In 2012, she published a new collection of essays entitled The Meaning of Freedom. Last year, she was the subject of a new documentary, Free Angela, and All Political Prisoners by award-winning filmmaker Shola Lynch, which just won the NAAC Image Award, which is just a fantastic experience, which we screened here on Thursday, so I hope you'll all be here. But what I'd like for you all to remember from this introduction is how Dr. Davis continues to mediate and meditate and for us to explore what freedom looks like. And to introduce Danny Glover is just a wonderful also experience for me because currently he's serving as the UNICEF ambassador. He's also an actor, producer, and human rights activist. He's been significant for us on screen and stage for over 25 years. We all know him through blockbuster films like Lethal Weapon, but also Dreamgirls and the science fiction disaster film, film 2010. But he has over 492 film titles. And just to think about that moment as an actor, as a director, as a producer, but also as a community activist and a person who concerned about community. His advocacy is also for economic justice, healthcare, and education in Africa and the United States. He's also served as a Goodwill Ambassador for the United Nations Development Program, focusing on issues of poverty, disease, and economic development in Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean. But he's co-founded the aspects of his activism. It's really important because he's co-founded Louverture Films, where we can see the idea of Bamako, Trouble the Water, the Black Power mixtape, 1967 and 1975, but also considering the works that we rarely talk about, which includes Buffalo Soldiers and Freedom Song. And I think that that's something that has to happen in our classroom. Born in San Francisco, he began his work in the Black Actors Workshop in San Francisco, but also as a student at San Francisco State College, he joined the Black Student Union. And that's really important why he's on campus here, because he transformed the idea of what activism meant as a young student, because he worked with the Panthers Free Breakfast Program. He worked with the anti-Vietnam War movement, but he also worked in terms of the global movement of South Africa, the Portuguese colonies, and Zimbabwe. So when we think about activism as you are all students, think about the ways that art has been able to transform and open up new discussions. He is the winner of 5 NAACP Image Awards, and he's also won an Emmy nomination for Mandela, for the HBO movie Mandela. So I'd like to thank you for this brief introduction. Thank you for being here, and hope to see you all week, and as we begin to think about this program through film. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Willis. Let me contextualize the film. It's Bamako, directed by Abdrahman Sissako, produced by Danny Glover. And Angela Davis asked us to show this film as part of her Artist in Residence program. And she had wished that we would show the entire film. And the film is about 2 hours. And I pleaded, that's why I said earlier that you can see the film in the library and Netflix. So I said, let me do what I do in my classes. I just choose a clip that's representative of what the story of the film. And this is a very experimental, unusual, incredible political film. It is set in an African city called Bamako, and it's set in the middle of a compound, a courtyard. So in this courtyard, you have women working on tie-dye. You have a couple whose marriage is in trouble. You have somebody who has malaria in a house. And then you have also what we call a tribunal, a court taking place. So the civil society in Africa has taken the World Bank and IMF to court, and they're testifying. So the film is about this back and forth, the defense and the the World Bank, IMF, and then people who are basically suing them. So they come and you have a lot of repetition in the film because it's not a straightforward narrative. The idea is for you to know that whatever is happening to the people, whatever decision the World Bank is taking, or whatever, whenever you buy a cappuccino in the United States, it's affecting the lives of these people. So that's why the film is intercutting all these things and mixing them. And that's why Angela wanted to show the film first. And then we can have the discussion completely, her idea to bring Monsieur Glover also in this discussion. So I'm really happy. I hope that you will not be too disoriented from my not showing the whole film, but I think you will get it. Thank you very much. Okay, so we can start.
Pere